thanks everybody for joining in today, and hopefully this will be really informative. And I hope you guys get as much from this as I will. I'm sure just learning about what is going on in East. And while we're doing this, just remember to keep your microphones off until we get into the breakout sessions that we have planned a little bit later in the presentation. And you guys will have an opportunity to meet with some of the East volunteers and leadership to ask questions, learn more about how to get involved with East in kind of a more interactive fashion. So look forward to that, but in the meantime, keep your microphones muted. I think everybody knows about East and its tagline, something I think I'll highlight a couple of times during my presentation, but really advancing science, fostering relationships, building careers is, I think, the core of what East is about, and what really summarizes what our mission is and the types of things that we do. Can you go ahead and go to the next slide? So I'm Ben Zarzer. I'm the president of East for this year, and really happy to be here to talk to you guys today. Dr. Linworth Jacobs is here. He's a founding member and a past president of East, and he'll help talk about the history of East and where it came from and what that means today, and in today's more modern world, and where we are with that. And then Libby Schroeder will talk about our membership recruitment and retention efforts, and basically lead us through this orientation. So I want to thank both of them for being here. Next slide. Then we'll hear also from 3 East superstars. So these are young members or members who have just joined and started contributing in a pretty heavy way. And so we really want to highlight how they got involved, and so that you can kind of see a pathway for getting involved in East early on. And so Emily Grimsley, Lindsay McKnight, and Allison Smith will share their experiences with you all over the last few years. Next slide. And really want to thank the Membership and Retention Committee for organizing the orientation. They put a lot of effort into doing this. You'll see that as you go along. They also do a lot of work as part of recruiting members and vetting applications. And so definitely appreciate those who are here today. And this group on this slide, as well as the next one, are all people who make East move forward. So many of these folks are members of committees of East, and here you can kind of see the different committees and areas of focus that we have in East today. So really want to thank everybody for joining on, being involved, and helping us to orient our new members to everything that East has to offer. All right, next slide. And most importantly, we want to welcome the East new members. I think it's great that you guys are here. There's over, we usually have 200 or 300 new members each year. So being able to do this so that we can get everybody oriented and on the same page and moving in the same direction is a great opportunity for us. But we couldn't do it without you guys. And really, the future of the organization is in your hands, frankly. And really want to encourage you all to get involved starting from day one. All right, next slide. So I already mentioned that the purpose of East, and really it's been consistent from its founding forward, is to advance science, foster relationships, build careers of young and mid-career trauma surgeons. I think that it's something that we take seriously as an organization, and want to provide opportunities for people to lead. And I can't encourage you enough to get involved. You absolutely will have a chance to contribute from day one if you decide that's what you want to do. And like many things, the more you contribute and the higher the quality of the work, the more opportunities you'll have to contribute. So you just get asked to do more and more. So I think that that's the key. The first thing is to get on the playing field and start helping out, and then contributing. in meaningful ways. So you'll hear a lot about a lot of work that is going on within East right now, and take notes. Like there'll be potential opportunities that'll come by, but I just encourage you to, as you listen to this, just think of something, find something that you're passionate about and that you want to volunteer for on a committee, and then start contributing. And when I think about why I got involved with these, that's why I felt like someplace I could make a difference from day one on things that I was passionate about. And you know, if you don't know anything about me, you may. I really am passionate about many things, but one of the things that I'm really passionate about is research and trying to grow the human capital that we have in trauma and acute care surgery research. And we really need to move that forward. And that's something I've been trying to pound on my entire career. So, and will continue to do so. And that's what I was passionate about and how I tried to contribute to East. And I think from a big picture point of view, what East is working on over the next year during my presidential year is trying to infuse and not really change course, but just try to augment things that we're already doing. So we really are trying to launch some initiatives aimed at innovating and adapting our organization to get stronger with pressure rather than break or just bounce back to where we were before. We want to get stronger when we face challenges. We want to be able to focus on small incremental steps to lead to excellence in our professional practice and our daily work, and be able to help our members do that. And then really try to approach our work with a calm mindset, focusing on what we can control, accepting what we can't, and trying to get the work of the organization done to serve its members. And that's what we do every day, I think, as committee chairs and members and then the leadership of the organization. So, and one of the ways we do that, next slide, is by encouraging folks to go to the annual meeting. So that next meeting will be at the JW Marriott in Tucson, Arizona. I hope to see everybody there. Here you see just a portion of the group of people who were there this past year listening to Jason Smith give his presidential address. It's a great time to really start to build those relationships that'll be there for the rest of your career. And that's where I started. That's where I first met many of the people who are in this crowd here today that I've been really lucky to work with over the last 15 or 20 years. So definitely encourage you to go. It's one of the highlights of the year for me. All right. And next, I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Jacobs to talk about its East's history, its mission, and where it's founding.
Great, thank you very much, Ben, and welcome to everybody to East. And let me just take you back to basically the late 70s and the 80s, when trauma was pretty much in its infancy. So there were relatively few people who were interested in that, and they were relatively young people. So what the corollary to that was is you didn't really have a forum to discuss things and solve problems, and we, the younger group, were in charge of things. So you couldn't sit back. You had to make decisions. You had to try stuff. If it worked, fine. If it didn't, you had to modify it and move on. So we felt, and this was Howard Champion, Burton Harris, pediatric surgeon, myself, and Kimball Mall. All of us were young people then. And, the whole purpose of the exercise was to really create something that interested people could come together, share their knowledge, share their experiences, learn, and probably more important than anything else, have a good time. So the concept of East was really designed to get a bunch of people and their families, that was a pretty important group, together and in a warm place, because a number of us were in the Northeast. So we wanted to be in a warm place. We wanted to have a place you could take your families. And most of us had pretty young kids at that time. So what ended up happening is people met each other, learned from each other, but their families met each other and their kids met each other. So it really became a big family. Of interest, there were fewer people in the organization then than coming into the organization today. So I think we were about 80 some or maybe 90 people, and now there are 100 people coming in today. And it is one of the largest, if not the largest, organizations for trauma in the world. So, you know, it's really come a phenomenal long way. The other really key to this was that we wanted to not only have a place to discuss issues, but to come up with guidelines for other people. So the whole EAST guideline operation was really developed for how do you take an idea which is working in your place, see if it works someplace else, and if it doesn't, turn it into a guideline or a standard, and then export that around the nation and ultimately around the world. And these were clinical things, organizational things, research things, which it didn't matter what it was. What did matter is that it was well thought out and brought before your professional colleagues and actually beaten up by your professional colleagues. So when it went out, it really was a standard. And I think EAST guidelines have made a huge difference in the lives of very many patients and very many people. So the next slide for me, if you will. Some of the things that ended up being pretty important was how do you come up with an idea? And what that really meant was turn everything into a question. So simple things like, this is back in the late 70s and early 80s. Can a paramedic put a tube between the cords safely? Sounds like pretty straightforward stuff. Never been asked, never answered before. So by setting it up and saying, okay, let's ask the question, measure it, and then what goes well? Is it the training? Is it the type of person? Is it the old person who's edentulous? Is it a young person who's got a face and a head that's been involved in severe penetrating or blunt trauma? Of course, it's going to be more difficult. So how do you navigate through those things and create a standard for everyone else? So the concept of turning everything into a question which has a scientific basis to an answer. And then the next thing is, when you present it, you really want it to be in a mature enough place that it represents a paper and that your colleagues are asked to really discuss that paper. And if the discussion and the paper are good, then it's presented at the national meeting and published. So EAST has a very high track record of publishing in peer-reviewed journals. And that was one of the other things, that you want to have this forum coming from idea to presentation to peers to written literature. And that led naturally to, oh, you're starting to be a regional and national and international leader. So that then moved onwards to helping your career. So you then going from assistant to associate to full professor. And again, EAST formed guidelines for how to lead your group, your organization, etc. So young people were coming up into leadership positions in organizations, and that meant in their departments, and that meant to national societies. And so you have EAST people now who are all over the place in leadership positions. And the good news is there's a memory. So if you, as an incoming person, want to have a question asked and answered, call up an EAST person. They will be helpful to you, and they'll help you navigate to wherever you want to go. So that's a mentoring process, which is again another cornerstone of EAST. EAST members helping younger EAST members to get where they want to go. So that's sort of really what EAST has done, if you will, for the group and for the membership and for yourself. And for me, it's been a few years now, but I've just had an extraordinarily wonderful time with colleagues. Most of the people that I came up with have ended up in leadership positions, and I can pick up the phone and call them at any time, and they'll give me an honest answer. It mightn't be the answer I want to hear, but it's an honest answer from a respected colleague and peer. So I just want to welcome all of you to this organization. I think you'll find that it solves many of the problems which you may be having. And for sure, you'll make really, really good friends, which will, in all likelihood, stay with you for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So the last thing I'll say is it doesn't just happen. You have to give to this organization and you will get from this organization. So the more you give to it, it's the more it's going to give back to you. So please be involved and engaged and just make everything out of this thing, which is good for you, good for the organization, and even more important, good for our patients. So welcome and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jacobs, for giving us that introduction into Dr. Zarzar. And with that, I am going to spend a little time talking about the different ways to get involved. So again, my name is Libby Schroeder. I'm the chair of the Membership Retention and Recruitment Committee. And we are so happy to have you all here with us. I'm going to run through a whole lot of information. Please know that this slideshow, the video will be available to you online. And most of this information, if not all of this information, is available on our website. But also know that Kinga and Nakia and Rachel Dixon, who oversees a lot of our research related work, are always available to you by email if you have specific questions. If you email any or all of them, even if you email the wrong one, they will get you to the right place to get you the information that you need. So with that, I'm going to start running through some of the ways to get involved. So first, know that you are now part of the East family, and the East family loves to network. So number one, if you were able to join us, hopefully this January in Tucson, you will have opportunities throughout the course of the meeting, the Scientific Assembly, to meet with people who are engaged in work around trauma patients at all different levels and in all different positions. And one of the things that makes East a lot of our favorite meetings is the fact that you can walk up to anybody there, whether you think they are a giant in the field, and they will happily have a conversation with you. The Hawaiian shirts that have become a thing do a really nice job of putting everybody on an equal playing field. And it is really such a welcoming conference. In addition, now that you are a member, once you log in, you have access to the member directory. So you now have everybody's contact information. And I have most definitely taken advantage of that over the years and encourage you to do that as well. There are opportunities to speak. So first of all, there's the East Scientific Assembly, again, which will be in January. Please note that the abstract submission deadline is July of this year, so it quickly comes upon you. So start thinking now, if you haven't yet, about what you have to put forward as an abstract. In addition, several years ago, I believe it was Paula Ferraro who helped us put together, amongst others, a speakers bureau. So within the website, you can go in and log your own profile for things that you feel comfortable talking about in large groups, and look up experts in the field as well. And so it's a great way to find speakers, but also particularly in that early to mid-career time, it's a great way to get your name out there and try and find opportunities. And please know that one of the things that, again, we love about East is that you will end up with people at all levels at the podium. So on this picture, there are people who range from everything from Abdul in the bottom right corner, who is currently a research fellow and will be starting his intern year at University of New Mexico next year, to Amy Goldberg, who's, again, an icon in our field, and everything in between. But lots of opportunities to volunteer, and we will go through many of those. But there are over 300 members who volunteer across East committees and task force every year. And please know, again, this is a question we get a lot. The call for volunteers comes out in late August. We get you on board, we welcome you to the organization, and you've got a little time now to settle in, figure out what the opportunities are, and then be ready for that call for volunteers come August. Dr. Carrie Valdez recommended a few years ago that we put this slide in, because if anybody has joined large organizations, it's also often very hard to figure out what the heck the org chart is. So this breaks it down a little bit in terms of all the different committee opportunities that exist within the organization. And these are all available, and we'll be looking for volunteers come this fall. A position as a volunteer on one of these committees is typically a 3-year stint. So that's just something to keep in mind. And your commitment begins at the meeting that takes place at the Scientific Assembly. So call for volunteers comes August. There's a lot of work done to get people assigned to different committees, and then you're kind of in action come mid-January. We have a great mentoring program, which has evolved over the course of the last several years, and really offers mentoring in all facets of a life in trauma. So where either you're looking for academic mentorship, trying to navigate difficult situations at work, to work-life balance, whatever it is, we are here to help. And when the applications go out to be a part of the mentoring programs, this is part of what they ask, and they work pretty hard to pair you up with people who they think are going to be able to help you in that realm. We've also moved more towards mentor families, which is a great opportunity for those who are, again, in that mid-career place. You don't quite feel like you're ready to be called a mentor yet. You still want to hang on to that mentee title, but you actually have a lot to offer our youngest members and those who are just exploring the idea of a career in trauma. And so again, those are opportunities that will become available to you now that you are a member of the organization. Lots of research. So if you are interested in research, regardless of what your past experience has been, your level of expertise, EAST is here to help you. First of all, we have our multi-center trials program, which is here to facilitate and design and execution of multi-center projects. And this can be anything from you've got an idea that you really just don't think you can answer the question you need to answer at a single center, or you've done pilot work at your center and you want to join you want to put together a multi-center trial. We're here to help you do that. Or you're trying to get your feet wet in the world of research and understand what data collection looks like, and you want to be a part of the process. And there's then an opportunity for you to sign up as a site in a multi-center trial. So both of those are available to you within the website. You can go in, you can see which studies are currently enrolling. The application to be a multi-center trial, I believe, is coming up in October. And so there will then again be, it's a process to then get your site approved and then get all the materials up to then have it launch on the website to then be made available to others. In addition, we have a lot of scholarships and awards. Oh, I missed part of this slide as well. The InvestC program, again, so if you are looking for help, mentorship at any aspect of putting together a research project, there are opportunities through the InvestC program to help connect you with members and resources in order to make that a reality. So we are really trying to help you in all stages, wherever you are in that research academic journey. In terms of scholarships, we have a number of them. Our research scholarship deadlines for our multi-center trial junior investigator award, the Templeton Injury Prevention Research Scholarship, as well as the East Trauma Research Scholarship is mid-May. So those are coming up if those are things that are you are interested in. And then we have two military scholarships and awards where the deadline is the end of August. And again, there is more information about those available on our website. Practice management guidelines, as Dr. Jacobs alluded to, this is something that EAST really prides itself on. It's the dedication to evidence-based care. This is a great way to get involved in the organization. This is one of the first things that I participated in. Number one, it gives you a few publications if you are involved in these PMGs. It also is an extremely educational process in terms of learning how to review and critique literature and put together a guideline. There is a process. Those within our organization who are on this committee and lead these guideline creations spend a lot of time learning the rigors behind how to evaluate these all the research that exists and are there to pass it along to you. So we do two things. We have new PMGs if they're new questions, and also some of the PMGs on our website, you will notice, have been around for a decade or two. And so it's time to do a re-review of the literature and get those back up with a bit more updated information. We also have our monthly literature reviews. If you do not get these to your email on a monthly basis, I highly recommend that you do. I have a tendency to then encourage my residents to read them as well. This is another great way to learn how to review literature and get it out through email, as well as they make it onto social media, as much of it does these days. And if you are interested, Allie Hines is available and would love your help. If you make it to our meeting, we hope to see you all there in January. One of the best parts of the meeting for those of us who participated is our medical student day. So on the Thursday of the scientific assembly, we open up a day of free registration for medical students, usually from local medical schools, but we probably wouldn't say no to somebody from outside. We provide a grab and go lunch, pairing them with mentors who are both faculty and residents. This year, we all sat around some round tables and got to have some great conversations, hearing about their journey towards residency. A lot of them were M3s and M4s. And then provide some of our own insights. They spend the afternoon then at the afternoon session of the scientific assembly, and then accompany us over to the No Suits, No Problem event, where we have some tables specifically set up to answer any additional questions they have. This is a really fun day and a great way to get involved and help provide kind of some on-the-fly mentorship to some very eager students. In addition, the day before our scientific assembly begins, we have our community outreach event. It is run and coordinated by the East Injury Control and Violence Prevention Committee, with volunteers traveling into the community to deliver high quality, high profile injury prevention programs. We've done things like Stop the Bleed and kind of mass casualty simulations, working with local organizations based on what they think would be most helpful. And this is a great way to get into the communities where we are spending a few days as guests. And obviously there's social media. So please find us on, the platform formerly known as Twitter, now called X. We have, as well as we are on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it. We have one general hashtag as well as hashtags for our injury prevention programs and different things that will be linked and that you can learn about it and access through the website. And as I mentioned before, always feel free to reach out. So the East staff is always here to answer questions. And you are always able to reach out to me. I may not know the answer, but I bet I can figure out somebody who will. And with that, I'm going to move on to introducing our three spotlighted superstars for the day. So Emily Grimsley, Lindsay McKnight, and Allison Smith have all been members of East for a few years and have really stood out as members who joined and then took the bull by the horns and have made it an experience where they've gotten as much out of East as East has gotten out of them, which is exactly the way it should be. And so with that, Emily, if you were ready to go, I'd love you to spend just a few minutes telling us about what East has done for you as you have been helping the organization.
Hey everybody, my name is Emily Grimsley. I'm a general surgery resident at the University of South Florida in Tampa. I'm actually on vacation, so please excuse my casual background. But I really wanted to be here today for this because I really value East as an organization, and it's given me a lot, like Dr. Schroeder suggested. So I joined East in 2022, and then quickly after that, the call for volunteers came out. I put my name in the hat and got assigned to the mentoring committee. I was able to really help that group put together the mentor and mentee pairs for the whole organization. Sorry. I'm sorry, someone just came. I apologize. That's yeah, I apologize. Anyway, we put together all the mentor mentee pairs, and then that was really great to kind of get to know the members on the committee and learn from them and gain their perspectives on how the programs worked in the past and what works, what doesn't in terms of mentorship and sponsorship and things like that. I think the other benefits of East have been just getting to network with a lot of really great people. I think in trauma surgery, we're all generally very approachable individuals, which I don't know if that transfers to all fields of surgery perhaps, but it's been very nice to get to know them. And anyway, I'll leave it at that. I'll be in the breakout rooms. I'm going to get rid of my dog, so I'm so sorry. I apologize so sincerely. Thank you.
All good. Those of us who have dogs understand, or small children, or spouses, all of the above. Thank you so much, Emily. Lindsay.
Yes, hi, I'm Lindsay McKnight. Nice to see everybody. It says I joined in East of 2017, but I think I'm a non-traditional member in the sense that I'm going to call myself a late bloomer because of life events. I was unable to really participate heavily until the last few years. So I'm kind of hoping there's some new members that can relate to me in that sense. And what happened was I was kind of jump promoted at my institution because of some external factors and became a leader at my institution very quickly. Let's just put it that way. And I felt like I was kind of, flapping in the breeze and floundering around like a fish on land. And East picked me up and really helped me in that experience. Because of those leadership positions, I'll be completely transparent, had no idea what I was doing as a brand new program director and a vice president of a center of excellence all at the same time. And I had no clue what I was doing. And so once I joined East and once I became more involved with East, I was able to reach out to a lot of mentors who had experienced the same thing that I had, and they gave me a lot of advice. The other part was that I'm a firm believer in paying it forward, and all the mentors that I've had throughout my career, instead of paying it back, I've truly tried to pay it forward. And I'm a believer in not just being a mentor at your own institution, but also outside of your institution. And I've always tried to be, that, and East is an excellent platform to be able to do that. The friendships that I've formed through East, the relationships, the advice during COVID. I think I reached out to the president of East probably 3 or 4 times asking about, negative pressure with placing chest tubes and what they were doing at their institutions. That was definitely a situation where everybody was probably reaching out and trying to get advice. So anyways, that's what East has provided for me. The other portion is we try our best to keep the quality of our care as high as possible and also keep pushing the envelope in terms of research. And I think it's very important to be involved in East to stay abreast of all of that, and also to be a major player in that. So that's my spiel. Now, hopefully I'll be in the breakout session, so I'll get to talk to you more then.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. And Allison.
Hey everyone, I'm Allison Smith. I'm currently junior faculty at LSU in New Orleans. My first involvement with East was when I was a chief resident, before I was a member of East, where I presented at the injury prevention session and actually won the best paper at that session as a chief. And that kind of put the wind in my sails to start getting involved with East as a trainee. And then as junior faculty, it was really important to me to have research, and I didn't have a lot of mentorship locally to try to figure out how to get involved with research, how to work on grant funding. And so when I was my first year in as a member, I joined the East Hackathon, and that was an awesome opportunity to really be with world-class trauma surgeons who were just devoting their entire day to working with us one-on-one, helping us to think of our proposals, learning from their experiences and what worked in getting funded, what didn't work. And so it was a great opportunity for me really to have this kind of outside mentor team that I still go to as I'm trying to work my way through the navigating all the funding and what opportunities are available. I'm also a member of the multi-center trials committee, and I've really enjoyed that experience in working with other faculty members across the country, people at academic places, people at non-academic places, and really seeing what would be good East multi-center trials to support. And I currently am running an East multi-center trial too, so it's been great to be on both sides of it. So I think in summary, y'all have made a great decision to join. It's really a very supportive organization, and I've been very happy with it. And I think it's really helped me improve my career and got me to the point that I'm at now.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for sure. I think, East is a choose your own adventure kind of organization. So we are here to help you get where you want to be. And from wherever your starting point is. And I think that we do an incredible job of making sure that you meet the people that you should meet in order to then get yourself where you want to go. And whether it's rural trauma, urban level 1, high penetrating, trying to figure out how to start a multi-center trial, how to, take on a new leadership position, whether in a formal or informal setting, we are here to help. First of all, please let me say thank you to all the volunteers who helped us today. Greatly appreciate our East members and their willingness to jump in and welcome our new members to the organization. This is the shameless plug where I ask you to pay your dues. So for those who haven't paid your dues, please do so. Dr. Zarzar and Dr. Coleman spent last week at I believe it was last week, correct, Kinga, at the board meeting signing all 373 new member certificates. And we want to get those out to you in the mail, but we will be holding yours hostage until we get your dues. So it's just the realities of life, but we want you to have it so you can hang it on your wall in a pretty frame with your board certifications, hopefully one day if you don't have those yet, and everything else. If you have issues in terms of dues payment, please feel free. There's an email listed here. In addition, again, Kinga is my usual go-to girl for everything, and she is happy to help answer any questions that come up. And as we mentioned before, we will be in Tucson in January. Abstract are open through July. So if you have something to submit, please get it in. Even if you don't submit anything, we still would love to see you there. For those who respond to the call for volunteers, again, that committee meeting at the meeting will be the first time you will join your new committee. So always nice to be in person so that we can meet you and vice versa. And with that, I say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for joining East. Thank you to Dr. Zarzar and Dr. Jacobs for being with us today. And again, if anybody has any questions, I am happy to stay on to answer.
Well, thank you very much, guys, and welcome to East. It's been a pleasure to be with you.